Well, hey everybody, welcome to the Meno Lounge. I'm Julie Gordon-White, CEO of Bossa Bars, Menopause, Energy Bars. You know it's Tuesday because we're on the Meno Lounge. I'm so excited as we continue our mothers and daughters conversation from period to pause because Mother's Day shouldn't just be for one day. Hello, no, we deserve at least a whole month. Not just one day. So I'm going to bring up our guest today. We've got Colette and Avia. I'm so excited. I'm sure they're here. So you guys just talk amongst yourselves as I bring up our guests. Here we go. All right, Colette. Are you here with us? There you are. I see you. You know, Colette, you might need to drop Avia's, oh, is this it? Friend for photos? Is that? I hope so.
Yay.
Hi. Is Avia a friend for photos?
She is. That is her.
I forgot to double check. I was just going to take a chance. That could have been a big surprise. Hi, Avia.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm so excited to have you on. I know my daughter Georgia is watching in the background. She was my first victim for this series. So I'm thrilled to have you, Colette. You know, Limitless Wellness. You're, all about a wellness advocate podcast, which I had the honor of being on. And then we were talking about this mother-daughter series. And you said, I know my daughter will join. She's a freshman in college, right? Did you just finish your freshman year? Are you almost finished?
Yeah, I'm almost finished. We have like a good month to go and then I'm done. I can't believe it.
You're in the home stretch, the shoot, as you know, on your way to the finish line.
Yeah.
But I was so impressed. She said she's 18 and she would love to have this conversation. And I'm, anytime an 18-year-old young woman wants to talk about menopause on camera, like I'm all about it. So thank you so much. So much. Let's just jump right in. Avia, I want to ask you first, why did you want to actually come on to the Meno Lounge to talk about menopause today?
Yeah, so my mom approached me with this idea and at first I was just like, we really never just had the time to just sit down and talk about like what it is and like if she's having and going through it with symptoms. But I really thought that it was a great opportunity because I think mothers and daughters should be able to communicate this in a very healthy way. And I think it's an important thing that should be more common to talk about.
I love that. And did you talk about when you started your period? Was that a conversation or was it just like surprise? This is how it goes.
It was kind of, we did discuss a little bit about it, but it's pretty funny, like the story of when it happened, but my mom was right there with me the second it did.
Oh, do you want to share? That's a good one.
I'm so open to. So my aunt, we were in Washington and she was getting married. And so, everyone's in white. Perfect. So this was, I believe, I don't know if it was before or after they got married, but everyone,
It was after.
This was after. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were all, celebrating at her house and I went to the bathroom and I realized I was like, oh no, I just started my period. I was freaking out. I was like, what is happening? And on my period, I do get really emotional and that sort of thing. And I know that my mom going through that is also the same right now. So yeah, but she was just very reassuring. And I remember not knowing what to do or how to handle it. And I was just kind of really panicking. But once I got into the, the groove of like, oh, this is what it is. And this is how I can, manage it. It became a lot easier over time.
Wow. That's a great way to enter womanhood, right? In white, at a wedding, out of town, it's never convenient.
No.
It never is, right? That's one thing I enjoy about being postmenopausal. I don't have those surprises anymore, but that is quite an entry and a fun story to share. And I remember my own daughter, during her cycle, I'm like, who are you? Who is this person? This crying, emotional person that's normally calm and wonderful. And like, oh yeah, she's in her cycle. It took a few months to get to that rhythm where I understood why she was losing it all the time. Not all the time, actually, 1 week a month, basically. Took a bit. So awesome. Well, Colette, so you didn't really have the conversation about menopause with Avia yet, right? I mean, it didn't really happen. Are we having it now? Do I get to be a part of it? Or
Well,
bring me up to date.
For me, leading up to her leaving last year and going to college, I would have these moments where I would just start crying.
Mm-hmm.
I would think about her leaving and I would just start crying. And it kind of dawned on me, well, of course I'm going to miss her. This is a transition that I've never experienced. I felt like losing a body part, you know, with her going away. And I would just cry. And then one day I just thought, you know, and I would cry, you know, commercials.
Right. Anything, a little girl in it. Yes.
I'm just emotional, and it was extra emotional. So it was really interesting to see, like, to kind of acknowledge, oh, I think I could be perimenopausal, but, you know, with everything around college applications and where is she going to go? And then she got accepted and going to the campus, and it was just a lot. And then she's off. And so, and now, you know, I think I'm perimenopausal. I don't know for sure. I think I have a lot of symptoms that do indicate that I am. But yeah, so we haven't had really, you know, sat down and, you know, had a cup of coffee over menopause, but I know that we will. And I'm one of 9 children. I have 6 sisters. And so when we all get together, Avia hears an education from, you know, different vantage points from my mom to my sisters. And we talk about everything. I mean, nothing is left unspoken. So
that's amazing. So with your sisters, where do you fall in that range? So we understand, you know, what you might have experienced related to perimenopause or menopause.
Yeah, I'm the oldest girl.
So you're leading the way for the perimenopause conversation. So Avia's going to bring it up the rear. You're leading the way.
Yeah.
That's amazing. All right. So here you are. I think that's a conversation that women don't have. They don't realize, especially as our kids are heading off to college. It's such a stressful time with SATs and applications and essays and trying to figure out how much pressure you should put on if you need to. You know, some people are extremely self-motivated, don't need any. Other kids, like, you got to ride them or trying to figure that out. And then your emotions are going off the cliff, their emotions are going off the cliff, and they go off and they leave right in the middle of this whole transition. And I don't know, did your friends talk about perimenopause, you know, amongst all this chatter about college?
For me, this is my question.
Mom, go ahead.
Yeah, for me.
Colette.
So yeah, I do have some friends that we have spoken about it, and everybody's symptoms are so different and everybody does different things, and you hear different things from doctors to friends. My mom, I think she said she went through like a 6-month window, very short. And then I have other friends who've experienced horrible menopause at, 35 to 39. And it's just all over the map. And so while we're trying to piece together information and really understand it, I do know that there's basic elements that I've kind of combined, like with everything that I've been listening to, which is we have to exercise, we have to eat well, we have to nourish our bodies, we have to get sleep, we have to do self-care, self-love, we have to do lymphatic drainage, we have to take care of our bodies. And then, so if you are doing that, I think the symptoms are maybe lessened or averted to what they could be. And if you're not taking care of your body, you could be on the whole other spectrum of really crazy symptoms of.
It's certainly helpful to do all those things. And just like having a period, I mean, perimenopause can be so similar with that experience. So all the things that your mom just mentioned are super helpful, at both ends of the cycle, because that's where we are, right? Both ends of beginning and ending. So very, very similar. There's over 34 symptoms. Every woman has a different experience, just like having your period. Some people have really bad cramps and headaches and, need to rest and stay in bed. Other women are like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm off and running and doing the same things that I normally do. So there's no judgment in any experience. And that's why it's really good to talk about both sides of this, because we all experience it differently. But I agree. You know, we know the better we take care of ourselves, whether have a period or your period's going away or it's gone. Nutrition, sleep, hydration, exercise, but not crazy. We don't need to, do an hour's worth of aerobics anymore.
No.
Although Avia could probably handle it, but you and I are like, not so much, because it does create stress in the body. But walking is always amazing. I hope you're walking on campus, Avia. Walking, right?
Yes, I'm in a redwood forest, so that's all we do. It's like it's always a hike to class, and it's one of the healthiest things, even if I don't get to, do physical activity like sports or something, which I like to do. I'm just always walking to class, and it's like a little hike, so it's perfect.
I love it.
Hmm.
A fun story I want to share with you too. When my daughter went away to college, I was sort of getting towards the end of my own perimenopause. So I would go 4 months, 6 months with no period. And Georgia would come home for break. And then all of a sudden my period would come back. What the heck? We would get, because she was on her period. So we would get synced up again. And it happened multiple times. And right when I think I'm finished, like almost 11 months with no period. And technically, it'll be 12 months with no continuous period. That's how you know you're in menopause for one day. Everything leading up to it is perimenopause. One day menopause, next day post. That's it. And I would get to 11 months and Georgia would come home on her period. Boom, I'd get it again. Are you kidding me? It's like Chutes and Ladders. Remember that game? You start all over again. So I want to ask you, Avia, is there anything that you are worried about with perimenopause or menopause? Does anything concern you or you're afraid of?
I'm currently a psychology major, so I have noticed kind of the interconnectedness between like psychological kind of like issues and changes with perimenopause, and I think big ones are kind of like mood changes and sleep disturbance, and I think body image and self-esteem and anxiety and stress, that sort of thing. So I think it's really important to be able to recognize like what you're experiencing and when and how to manage that.
Yeah, it's quite insightful.
She's my old soul.
She is. I'm like, did you say, are you really 18? I know that's not possible. Yeah, you've nailed it. Mindset also, right? Mindset, what we believe about this experience. So because what we believe has a huge impact on how we experience it emotionally. So do you believe that it's a positive time, or do you believe, and we can start with a period. What do you think about a period? Is it a positive time for you, or is it like, oh God, here it comes again?
So building up for me, I think it's always, I get really, really, really emotional. And I remember the first times I recognized my mom getting really emotional, and she's very like strong, and she still is strong throughout this whole process. But, I would see her cry a lot more frequently. I remember I was going out with some friends like a few days before leaving to college, and she just completely broke down in my arms, and I felt really strongly about that. But yeah, I think it's just really important to address, and I'm really glad that I've been able to kind of recognize like her and I's like similar processes with like periods and perimenopause.
I love
We
that.
also experience
So beautiful that you're that open with your daughter. I really want to commend you that you don't hide it. I think sometimes we are socialized or raised in our families to hide emotions, and then you go to another room when you're sobbing. She's leaving. But just to be so open and transparent with her is such a gift. So
yeah. And two things we experience. If somebody says I'm getting my period, it's like, no, don't say that.
Yeah.
Because that happens.
Yeah.
And the second thing is that I lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
I have another
perimenopausal.
point.
There's a test, by the way, before I forget. We have some good friends and partners at Mina Health, M-I-N-A Health, where there's a test you can purchase that determines if you're in perimenopause.
Okay.
So I recommend that.
Well,
Laurel, while you're thinking, Laurel says, this is so amazing to hear as I try to be as open as possible with my little one. Exactly.
That was my thought. Okay. So
Laurel's in your mind. Go ahead.
Here's my mantra. There's two things that I've always said to my kids. Number one is I love you always and forever, no matter what. I've said that to them since they came out of the womb. And my little one is spicy, and she's challenged that a few times with, what if I kill somebody? What if
There's always one.
I'm like,
that was my first one.
Forever. Yeah. I might not like what you do.
Right.
And the second thing that I always tell them is, don't be afraid to tell me something. Be afraid if you don't tell me. Be very afraid.
That's when it's serious business. Yes. Right there, right?
And they know that there is no judgment. And I can also say to that because of the openness, Avia's called me many times with a friend on the other line saying, can you talk to her? Because she's not talked to her parents about what's going on. And we talk about it. And I'm happy that we have that relationship, and it has been cultivated. And if there's any moms listening, I would just say, yeah, I mean, obviously there's certain things that you don't want to talk about everything all the time, and they're like an emotional dumping ground, but you do want to create that this is normal, like going through, the period, sexual encounters, life, things that are going on, like this is normal, it's natural. And just feel your body, know your body, be in it, and be able to share it, and know when something is off, whatever that is, and be able to walk away or seek help.
That's such great sage advice, because especially when young women, or I have two sons also, when they go off to college, here you are thrust into the world, and you have to make decisions on your own based on what you've learned along the way. And to trust yourself, to know your body, is so important when you're out there. Have you had to ever, in your 1 year of college so far, Avia, have you had to, reach back, Mom said, about knowing who I am, knowing my body, trusting yourself in your first year journey of college?
Absolutely. So I think the hardest part about this whole process was I wasn't really sure what was going on with my mom. And at the time when she started to experience a lot of emotional symptoms, I wasn't there for her. And my mom and I are very, very close. And that was probably one of the hardest things for me, because I would get my sister, she's 14 right now. She's going to be going into high school next year. But she would call me and she would just be like, Avia, Mom is crying, and because she couldn't find the directions for this hike, and I just don't know what to do. I was trying to comfort her. And so it's really funny, but it's super sad for me too, because I feel like the most I can do when I'm at college is just give her a call or tell my sister hey, this is how you navigate it. But
I love it. So you're coaching your sister on how to coach your mom. Is that right?
Yeah. I think one of the most important things is that this is a topic that should be easily discussed among, not even just mothers and daughters, but I think even men should be very aware about this, because I'm currently living in dorms, and it is a communal area. So once one woman in the building gets her period, all of us are on our period. So we just sync up, same as at home. And I think it's important that they acknowledge that we are also going through mood changes, and it's hard just being able to remember that my mom is also going through the same thing, but it's kind of amplified times 10. So
I love that. Wow. Yeah, I love the fact that, you're in this space with other men, and they're going through their own hormone things too, right? Men, young men, boys, we all have hormones. And so they're having theirs, it's just showing up in a different way. So it's good that you know your body. So you can woo, easy over there, young man, right? Super, super important. And so how do you support, do you listen to your mom, you give her hugs? How do you do it from afar, knowing now that she's going through this experience? I love that.
Well, same thing that, she's always been super supportive. So I think the biggest thing when we are together is we will just sit down on the couch and we'll watch a movie and we'll eat snacks. And another thing I did want to mention is health is such an important thing. And I think I'm so grateful that my mom is in the wellness industry, because she's able to teach me how to eat and what's best for my body. And at college, that's been kind of, more difficult, because you get cravings, and I'm sure that, in perimenopause and even during menopause, if you experience a lot of cravings and just okay, maybe just this once, it'll help me feel better. But I think finding good alternatives, and same as Bossa Bars for menopause, I think that's super important, that there's an alternative snack that women can also indulge in and enjoy. that sort of thing.
Yeah. You're hired, Avia. Done. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, I appreciate you saying that. There's a woman who's in our space, actually, her best years. And her daughter's just graduated from law school, and our bars literally were a part of her every day. Is one of the only things that she wanted to eat. She was so busy. So her mom just kept her in double chocolate brownie was her favorite, because she wanted her to have a really nutritional snack to have with her when she's studying all night long. And, you know, young women and hormones, we got to keep everybody balanced here with that maca. So I love that you said that, because you're right. In college, especially your freshman year, pizza, pizza everywhere all night long.
We have a pizza oven in our dining hall, and I've expressed to my mom how concerned I am with my health here, because they do offer good alternative options. But I mean, there's sometimes where it's just like, oh, you're getting pasta for dinner and there's nothing you can really do about it. And we eat really, really healthy at home. So I think even just being in communication with my mother, that's like the most I can really do. I try to get her, she has an iPhone now. This is a very big
oh, is this a new thing?
Yes.
What was she doing? Like sending you a fax, or what happened?
She had an Android, and my sister and I laugh about it a lot, but I really like to be able to just FaceTime her. I think that's a really big part of, you know, communication with her and like kind of reassurance. But yeah, I think eating is very important, and I know that she wouldn't pair up with a company unless she knew that it would be like the best for someone's health.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
FaceTime. Let's talk about FaceTime, because whether you're perimenopause, menopause, or have a period with your daughter, for me, you know, my daughter and I, we have a pact that now that she's 24, she's busier, she has a big girl job, like all the things. She just got a goat, everybody. She got a pygmy goat. She's living her best life. So, but we have a pact that we always speak on Sundays. I talk to all my kids on Sundays, because maybe during the week we're texting or emojiing. I just like, send me an emoji. I want to know you're breathing. That's all I need.
Yeah.
Thank you. But Sunday is FaceTime day. And I think it's really important to keep that communication. And that's where we have a moment to have these conversations about menopause or your period or emotions or nutrition and food. And so I'm glad that you've acquiesced into the world of not so much that you have to have an iPhone. It's just the FaceTime. That's the thing, right?
Right.
FaceTime.
Right.
So,
That's the biggest thing.
Avia, do you talk, I'm not going to guess that you're talking about perimenopause or menopause with your friends, but if you were talking about that, maybe you will, what would you advise them to know or to think about in helping or being a partner with their moms who may be going through that experience?
I think, like you said, it's really hard for when you're away from your children, if they're, you know, working jobs or at college. It's the most important thing is just to be in communication. That's really the most that you can do. And with FaceTime, you can, you know, contact them, but like face to face, it's like the best you can really do. But with, I remember being in my dorm and like my roommates, I have two other roommates. And so I'd ask them, if my mom was super emotional one day, I'm like, are your moms going through menopause? And they're like, I'm not really sure, actually. And I mean, I just would tell them, I'm like, she's just really emotional and I'm trying to navigate that. So I think that even a lot of people that I'm really close with, like, they don't even know whether their moms are going through it or not, because I think a really big part of motherhood is just you want to be there for your children and show like a really brave side and just being supportive. And I think letting your guard down can be one of the hardest things as mothers, although it's a really emotional connection. But I definitely think it's something that should be more comfortably talked about with one another, because I know a lot of my friends, like their moms are around the same age and they're not sure. But I think being educated is really, really important, and just kind of learning even just a little bit about it and having a conversation with your mother, like, oh, what would help you best? Like same as, you know, a mother would for her daughter's period.
See, she's making me cry right now.
I was going to say, I'm going to cry now. And I'm not a crier, but I feel so, I just feel so proud to know you and, you know, just see the beautiful soul and thought process that you have. Very mature, very thoughtful. I can see why you are a psych major, because hello world, right?
Yeah.
So cool. So cool. Okay, Mom, your turn. What do you wish, advice that you would give other women about talking about perimenopause and menopause eventually with their daughters or sons, or maybe even their partners too?
Yeah, I think it's really important, and we should talk about it more because it will help everybody understand, hey, if I might seem a little emotional and a little on edge, or you see me like not acting normal, maybe just come over and give me a hug and say, I love you. And if you notice that in, your partner, your mom, just give her a little bit extra love. And to notice that and like be aware, because especially for the boys, I think today it's a little bit different, and we are definitely talking more about emotions and allowing them to feel, and not saying suck it up and be a man. But if you can actually get them to tune in, because I think a lot of times men are even more sensitive than women are, and so allow them to see that and to reach out and offer a hug or some positive words, or is there something I can do to help you feel better? Something simple. Or maybe it's just like, you might just need a little space, So if you tell everyone, hey, if I get a little on edge, I'm a little emotional, I might just need to, take a walk really quick just to clear my head. So I think that conversation is really good. And this is great. And I hope that there's more conversations. I really want to help push the message of menopause and what we go through, and what are some alternatives, like a Bossa Bar, that we can do to help us just be well all around and go through this together and know that we're supported.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And, I'm listening, and another underlying thing that you're both teaching and sharing is about receiving, about being willing to ask for what you want and need, which a lot of women don't do.
Yes.
We're afraid to do that. But then on the other side, receiving after you ask. Because the other thing we do is say, oh, no, thanks, I got this, we just soldier on, which is what our moms did, right? Our moms, not your mom, lucky you, Avia, but, like our moms, they didn't really experience it because they just soldiered on. They didn't have the space or understanding, or the language maybe, or the knowledge of what it is. But we do. And so to be able to receive that is one of the most important things that I think you can teach a daughter, young women. And something that I talk to my daughter about is receiving, being open to receive help, thoughts, gifts, ideas. Don't close those things off. It doesn't mean that you're weak or not able to take care of yourself. It's a huge part of being strong, actually, and independent, is being able to receive. And that's what you both are doing by sharing, but also receiving the gifts back from each other. So beautiful.
Good method. Yes, the receiving part. When you are strong and you are independent, I think that's probably one of the biggest lessons I've learned and am learning, is to ask for help, because it's not a strong point to not ask for help.
Yeah.
It's a strong point to ask. And we do no one a favor when we're soldiering alone.
Absolutely. Definitely not for our kids, right, as women. So I applaud you. I applaud your emotion and your tears. Good stuff. All right, ladies, I ask this question always at the end, and this is going to be a little bit different, but I always say, what does menopause like a boss mean to you? So you can say perimenopause. You can say, what does your period mean? Like period like a boss. I don't know. Both of you can put your own spin on that question, but it's really about being a boss in your experience. So Colette, I'm going to go to you first, and then Avia, you're going to bring us home. Okay.
So menopause like a boss, some words come up, owning femininity, reaching out, asking for help, talking, educating, listening, seeking advice from friends, getting that support group around you, making sure that all your wellness points are in check: mind, body, soul, exercise, nutrition. So really just being a boss, owning all of it, and asking for help. And if you don't know, don't navigate alone, reach out.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, Avia, I know you've got something.
The biggest thing I think of when I think of, boss, when it comes to this whole process is just kind of redefining aging and kind of being comfortable with that. That's the biggest thing. I mean, like having like love and support and also giving that. I think a little, tip of advice for, mothers who are away from their children at this time is even just a simple text, like throughout the day, if you're thinking of them, like, I love you, you're doing great, little things like that. And like encouragement, that sort of thing would be an amazing thing towards like a progressive, like positive mindset. So yeah.
And she does it.
Wow. Wow. I am so blown away by you. I'm not kidding. When you're ready for an internship, please reach out. I'm not kidding.
Yes.
You are a super boss for sure. So, so good. I've enjoyed this so much. Avia, thank you so, I know I could con your mom into doing it, but I really appreciate you stepping out. I can see you're on campus doing your college thing, you're probably getting close to finals here coming up, and your time. You are a shining star, so just keep doing your magic in the world.
Thank
and
you.
Superstar, come back anytime you want, and we can talk about anything you want. And go check out Collette Brown and her Limitless Healing podcast and all good things there. And thank you so much for being on this special series with mothers and daughters from period to pause.
Yes.
Ladies, have a great day. You made my whole day. I think I'm going to hang up in the camera and start crying. I know I said I should do it on camera, but I'm going to do it off camera. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next time. Be
Okay.
well.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.